Hi everyone, my name is Carly Smith and I'm a second-year occupational therapy student at the University of Pittsburgh. Today, my friends and I are going to talk to you about what our school classrooms may look like right now, how this school year may be a little bit different than what we're all used to, and how we can all still learn and play together while keeping ourselves and each other safe. If you feel nervous or scared because school looks and feels so different right now, please know that you're not alone. My friends and I are college students, which means that we are in school just as much as all of you are. And just like when you're all at school, we have to keep our desks separated, stay 6 feet apart from each other, wear our masks at all times, make sure our hands are extra clean either from washing them or using hand sanitizer, and we even have to wear a plastic shield over our faces sometimes when we're extra close. If your parents leave the house to go somewhere, like work or the grocery store, they also have to follow the same rules that all of us do when we're in school. I know that sometimes it's hard to remember all of these new rules, but if we all try our best and work together, then we can all stay safe and healthy this school year and hopefully get our classrooms back to normal.
So what is social distancing? Social distancing is whenever we keep physical space between you and other people. We do this in order to stop people from spreading infectious disease between one another or from spreading dangerous viruses such as the coronavirus. We social distance by staying 6 feet away from other people. 6 feet might look like two golden retrievers or some bigger dogs standing one behind the other, or the width of the front of your car. Staying 6 feet away from other people is just one way that we can be respectful during this coronavirus time. So, what is respect? Respect is caring about other people's feelings, wishes, or rights. We should always be kind to one another and listen to others' wishes. For example, if somebody asks you to stay maybe a little more than 6 feet away from them, that's one way that you can respect their space. You can show yourself respect too. When we are respectful, other people want to follow our lead. So if you're respecting someone else's space, it's likely that they will respect your space in return. There are a lot of ways to show respect during the pandemic. Some of these include keeping socially distant, washing your hands, covering your mouth whenever you sneeze or cough, and just being kind to one another. There are many ways to keep clean and safe right now, and that's one of the major ways that we can respect each other. The world is always full of germs, but right now there are some even more dangerous ones than usual. It's important that you always clean your toys and supplies after you use them. Some examples of cleaning products are Lysol wipes, your average soap and water, and Lysol spray. It's important to not only clean your things, but to also remind others to not put toys or shared objects in their mouth. That's one major way that germs get spread is by putting your germs onto the toys and then other people touch them. So during these times, it's important to help one another, whether it's cleaning somebody else's toys for them if they might forget, or reminding other people to make sure they wipe their stuff down whenever they're done. So I know Carly talked about this in our last video, but I think it's very important that we remember how to cough and sneeze like a vampire, because this is always good practice, not just during a pandemic. So in order to cough and sneeze like a vampire, you first have to grab your cape, cover your face, and then cough and sneeze into your arm. So do you want to take a second and practice that? Grab your cape, cover your face, and then cough and sneeze into your arm, just like a vampire would. So now we're going to talk about hand hygiene a little bit and how we can keep our hands clean during these times. So I want you to take a minute and make a list of times when you think it is super important for you to be washing your hands. You can just make a short list, like 3 to 5 things would be good. So now I'm going to show you my list. Some of the examples that I came up with are before, during, and after cooking or eating food, always before eating lunch or dinner or even breakfast, Before or after being around someone who you think is sick or just someone who coughs and sneezes. You don't have to be sick to spread your germs. Before and after touching a cut or another injury. It's important that we don't want to put germs into open cuts or wounds that we might get from playing on the playground or being outside. After going to the bathroom is an important time for us to wash our hands. After using a Kleenex or sneezing or blowing your nose is always super important. After petting animals, because we never know where our animals have been, especially if it's not your own animal and they could have some germs on their skin. After touching garbage, because we don't want our hands to smell or be dirty. And then always after coughing. So compare your list to my list and give yourself 1 point for every answer you got that was on my list, and give yourself 2 points, so that's a bonus point for any of the answers that you thought of that I did not think of, because I'm sure there are a lot more out there. So next we're going to go over how to wash our hands. There are 5 simple steps to washing our hands according to the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control. First we wet, then we lather, then we scrub, then we rinse, then we dry. So we can see that on the side here. First we wet with water and soap. Second we lather, going palm to palm with our hands. Third, we scrub. That's when we get between our fingers and focus on our thumbs. Next we rinse, making sure to always get the back of our hands with soap and water too. And finally we dry. It's also important to remember to wash your wrists whenever you're getting the backs of those hands. Now, it is important to note that hand sanitizer is okay to use whenever you do not have soap and water. But as soon as you have access to a sink or somewhere else that you can wash your hands, it's really important to do so. So now let's talk a little bit about getting back to school. Whether it's virtual or in person, school is going to look very different. Virtual school, which is what you might be doing right now, can be done through Zoom or Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams. There's a lot of different things that we could do. But when we go back to school in person, it's going to not look how we left it back in March. So one example is there might be some dividers between our desks. Now the dividers could be clear so you could still see your friends through them, but this is just another way to keep us protected from being face to face with one another. This also will probably be seen in the lunchrooms and the cafeterias, really anywhere that there could be large gatherings of people. A divider is just another way to keep you safe other than your mask. What's really cool right now is you're able to find masks in a lot of different patterns and colors, some with your favorite superheroes like Spider-Man or Superman, and this little girl has some Disney on her mask. So what's really neat is even though we have to wear these masks and we might think it's hiding our smile, there are ways to still show some character and make them match your outfits and make them look a little fashionable. So here's just a little reminder on how to respect again. So virtually, always remember to mute yourself when it's not your turn to talk. If we're talking whenever other people are talking in the virtual platform, it can get really confusing on whose turn it is to speak. Remember to not move around with the device that you're on while you're on video. So if I were to pick up my computer right now and shake it around, somebody might start to feel sick on the other end because it's way too much movement. Always listen to others and do not interrupt. Make sure that you turn off, store, and clean your device every day. So this is super important, especially if it's not your own personal device. I know a lot of schools have lent out laptops or iPads or maybe even phones to use for children who do not have access to them at home. So make sure that you're taking really good care of that. So whenever we do return to school in person, your device is ready to turn in and there's no issues with it. And if you are using a parent's phone or a parent's device from home, make sure you return it to them when you are done. Now for in-person school, there's a whole other way that we can respect each other. The first way is to keep distance between yourself and your classmates and adults. So this goes back to that social distancing that we were talking about in the beginning. It's important that you maintain that 6 feet between your classmates and all the adults in the classroom. And when you don't, make sure that you have that mask on, maybe a face shield, or one of those dividers that you will see on the desks. Always wear your mask unless you are eating or drinking. So the safe spaces to take your mask down will be the areas that are divided by other things, such as those plastic dividers. so you're still separated from other people and there's a barrier between you and them. Wash your hands every chance that you get. So like I said before, you can use hand sanitizers whenever you don't have access to a sink, but every time you have access to the sink, whether it's in the bathroom, in the classroom, maybe even in a kitchen, make sure you wash your hands with soap and water, following those 5 steps that we talked about from the CDC. Make sure you do not trade masks with your friends. I know you might think that your friend has a super cool mask, but the purpose of the mask is to keep all of our germs inside of it. So if we're sharing with one another, then all of their germs will be getting on our face and all of our germs will be getting on their face. So it's really important that we do not trade our masks with our friends. And finally, clean all the surfaces that you touch. So we can use our wipes, soap and water, or spray, or any other cleaning products that might be available at your school. It's important that we clean our pencils, our devices, our tablets, and our chairs, believe it or not. So the pandemic should not last forever, but we all have to do our part to stay safe and stay positive. If we follow all of these things that we talked about today, we should be able to return to school in person and stay there for a little amount of time. It's important to ask yourself every day, how can you do your part to make sure you can still go to school and see your friends? For more information on all things coronavirus, visit livescience.com/coronaviruskidsguide. This is a great resource that can provide you with more information than what we talked about today and to help you refresh some of the information that we talked about today. It's okay to have questions right now, but it's great if you know your resources and you know where you can get those questions answered. Thank you for tuning in today, and I hope you really enjoyed our video.